What is up, delicious faithful? Bruce Moore here with a brand new episode. Today we're speaking with Shylmagoghnar, a black metal band from the Netherlands. Our band of the week is Tongue of Eden, a hybrid EDM metal band. We're going to be playing the song Stoneburner. And then don't forget to check it out all the way through and listen to our review of Ghoul's new EP, Noxious Concoctions. Once again, thanks for listening. We appreciate your time. Go check out these bands. Check out these singles, and as always, keep it metal.
Hi, this is Nem from Shylmagoghnar, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious Podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast. The Brutally Delicious Podcast.
Hey, Bruce.
Hey, how are you, my friend?
Hey, third time's a charm.
That's what I was thinking too. No stress. How are you?
I'm good, fine. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Where are you located?
I am the Netherlands. The southern Netherlands.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is it nice and cold over there right now?
It's starting to get there, yes. I'm still waiting for the snow. Would be nice, since I have a 2-year-old at the moment, and I would like to build some snowman with him.
Oh, yeah. Do you guys normally get a lot? You normally get a lot of snow out there?
We used to, yes, but in the last couple of years it has been really weird. It has been shifting into summer slowly, so I'm starting to get a little bit worried about it. To be honest.
Yeah, we don't get. I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and we don't get. We used to get a lot. I think it's been 3, 4, 5 years since we've gotten any.
It's probably the same as here then. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm gonna ask you to pronounce this because I know I'm gonna butcher it. Tell me the name of this band.
Shylmagoghnar.
Yeah, I would have never got that. Thank you.
It's
So, go ahead.
Shylmagoghnar. Shylmagoghnar.
So, I know Convergence has been out probably, like a little over a month now?
Yes, yeah.
What's been the response to it so far? I was listening to the single, getting prepped for this, and I really like it. And I'm going to interrupt myself here for a second. Sorry, but I like that it's black metal, dark metal, whatever you want to call it, but it also has like those really cool keyboards in the intro or piano intros.
Mm. It's a bit of a mix of genres. Are you talking about Follow the River right now?
Yep, that's the one I was listening to.
Yeah, I think that one is. I think I started with that single for this album because I feel it has a little bit of all the facets that are on it. And wait, your question was the response.
I know. Sorry, I had 10 questions at once. Sorry, I tend to get ahead of myself.
Response is very good, especially from the people who have already been following the band for the last couple of years. I think it is a little bit of a niche band because of what you just said. It's very blendy. It has lots of genres, so I think it's definitely not for the purist. I know there's a lot of very pure black metal fans who hear a keyboard and they immediately go like, okay, next band. And I understand that that's up to everyone else, but that's not the crowd I'm trying to appeal to. But the people who do understand what I'm doing, that crowd has been growing, and they have been so insanely positive and so supportive of the band, and that hasn't changed one bit with this release. Yeah.
Do you find like pushback from the purist kind of black metal people, or they just kind of ignore it and move on?
At the start with the first album, there was a little bit of that. There was a lot of contention about. We used the word black metal as one of the describing terms, and of course that has always been a problem, right? There's so many forms of black metal that no matter what you call it, someone will go, this is not real black metal.
Right.
That happened a lot at the start, but I think it filtered itself out pretty quickly, and what you are left with are the people who don't really care what you call it. And I have to say that I think that group is in general larger, so it didn't really harm us in any way.
So when you sat down to write, then you weren't specifically sitting down to write a black metal record. You just kind of and I'll put words in your mouth, I guess, but did you just kind of let it all just come together, all of your influences?
Definitely. Yeah, personally, I never really gave a damn about genres. I do use certain elements of death and black metal because I feel they're very good for expression of many forms. But for example, the synthesizers on this album, there have been a few songs that you could definitely call like a throwback to 80s dark wave and that kind of stuff. And I think those are very different moods that you can also express with a different genre. And that way, I'll use whatever falls on my path, so to say.
Right. So as I'm listening to it, I notice it's super emotional, right? I mean, the whole record is like this emotional journey, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Is there something you want your listeners to take away from after listening to it, especially Convergence?
Yeah, I can tell you what it was for me and what I hope that other people get from it. I was always going to write the third album about the journey of death because it felt like a logical conclusion to the trilogy to me.
Mm-hmm.
However, I must admit, when I started writing it, it was not coming together for one simple reason. I felt that I did not really have the experience needed to even be speaking about this topic so emotionally and so personally. Well, sadly, my mom got really sick during the making of this album, and she had a brain tumor, and she ended up. Yeah, that was really horrible. It was within 3 or 4 months she became so ill that she died from it, and that was really easily one of the worst years of my entire family's life, I would say.
Right.
And yeah, as bitter as it is, it gave me what I needed to truly understand what I was writing about with this album, and my emotions, my grief for my mother, and my wish for her to have an easier passing, I guess you could say, right, are all in there. So what I'm hoping is, first of all, maybe people who are in a similar situation might find some solace in this, but it's also a metaphor for that you sometimes really have to let go of things to be able to move on, to grow, and that's also something that I hope people will get from it.
That's a difficult thing to do, right? Because not getting too personal, my mom had the same situation this year, so we're still all sort of recovering from it. It wasn't brain cancer; she had pancreatic cancer, but 4 months, and it was
yes.
And it was brutal, and it's horrible, and yeah. So I mean, I haven't hit that point where you can kind of reflect on it. You know, we're still knee deep in the nonsense. Yeah. So I think maybe that's why it touches. You know, listening to it, you can kind of feel that, if that makes sense.
So you took that from it as well when you were listening.
Yes, absolutely.
That's good. That's good. And also, like, since you're in the middle of that situation right now, I don't often get to ask people this. Was that a positive thing to you, or did that make it harder to bear while you're in the middle of it? Like, is it helpful?
The music?
Yes.
I think it's helpful. So we talk about this a lot on the show. I think that heavy music, especially even more heavy extreme music, is very, very cathartic.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Yeah.
Not just for like the artist, but for the listener as well. So I could put on a record like Convergence, and there's some other ones that mean a lot to me, and maybe just because of the season I'm in, that really.
Yes.
It's almost like, holy shit, how did this guy connect with exactly what I feel?
To me, that's totally what music is about. I know you can sometimes just write songs that are fun, but the really deeper ones tend to have that, I guess, that connection to the music from both the musician and the listener.
Yeah.
And
it's really, it's super strange. Like, I think maybe if I'd have listened to, I'll just use Convergence 5 years ago, it may not have had the same impact. Does that make sense? Same songs, but different experience, and you connect so much differently.
I very much recognize that. I think that's generally the case. Also, in general, for Shylmagoghnar, with many of the albums, I have had people tell me that at first they didn't really like it, or they didn't really feel it, and then something happened in their lives. They listened to it again, and suddenly they understood it. They got it, and that was exactly what they needed. And I guess that's the risk of making something that's so personal. But I am glad that eventually it does reach the people that it needs to reach in that way. That's why I'm asking also, of course.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. But so when you're writing, then, oh shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. It's very personal stuff. But when you're writing, then ever concerned that you're too vulnerable, you put too much of yourself in there?
In a way, yes, and that makes me want to push even further. I guess that's it has become such a goal for this project. The project has supported me through some really dark times of my own, no exception in this case.
Right.
And it has become this therapeutic thing. And as with many things in therapy or in medicine, you have to swallow the bitter pill first before you start feeling better. So to me, the feeling of fear that I get while I'm putting my emotions, my soul into it, to me are a sign that I'm going the right way, because I need to do that. Otherwise, there will be no healing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a tough lesson to learn too, though, right?
It is. I think I got lucky in that regard, because the very first song of the first album was really one of those songs. It was I Am the Abyss. And to this day, one of the, if not the most popular song of the band, because many people recognized that. And I remember before I released the album, I mean, it's a 9 or 10 minute instrumental, emotional song. And some of my friends were like, dude, are you sure you're going to open your debut album with a pill like that, right? That might just shoo people away. But it didn't. I'm pretty sure that if I had not put that as the first track, the album may not have had the impact that it did.
I think people can recognize, I know for myself, but I think others as well, I'm not the only one, can recognize when it's real and it's honest. And even if it's brutal, they can understand that, there's honesty in it.
Yes, I think so too. I think that's maybe the conditioning that happened, that I realized, okay, I am allowed to do this, because the people that need to hear it, they get it. They make the click with it. Right. And they don't feel like I'm just shoving unwanted emotions in their face, so to say. The other side of that is also a positive one, in my opinion. It means that I do not get away with putting fake emotions in music.
Right. They'll see through it right away.
Exactly. And I think that's great, because that means that I have to keep a certain standard, or else they will just notice right away. And I guess that's going to keep me on my toes for future albums as well. I'm not going to write about anything that doesn't really mean anything to me.
Right. So I know we're down a rabbit hole and you may not have wanted to go this far, but do you ever feel any sort of responsibility then to your fans or to your listeners to
I think so.
Say a certain thing or convey a certain message?
I think I do feel the responsibility of being responsible with, how do you say this? Like, I'm portraying certain emotions, and sometimes I'm also portraying what, in my opinion, is the solution or the way to deal with them. And in that regard, you are responsible, I think. I mean, there's many ways you can handle something. And if you tell someone, hey, if you feel sad, go attack a couple of people on the streets, of course, that's still their own choice, but you're also putting something out there. Right. And I think the message, I do try to make it, I guess, wholesome is the word. I think it's very important that people strengthen each other instead of tearing each other down. And that's
especially in the times we live in. And that makes this music, as extreme or as heavy as it is, important, right? Because we're all in this shit together, and it sucks.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really sucks. It's not going well at all, and I think almost everyone will be looking with anxiety at the news at the moment, and it's not going well. And I think it's really important that people start listening to each other a little bit more.
Hi, this is Paul Phelps.
And this is Monica Strutt.
And we're from the Daily Music Business Podcast. We're joined by a number of other really great hosts in creating daily content with great advice for independent musicians just like you.
That's right. We put out episodes daily on all topics from music marketing to branding, advice on signing with a manager and label, and anything else you need to up-level the business side of your music career. We've got it covered.
Subscribe to the Daily Music Business Podcast today on your favorite podcast catcher.
Subscribe today to the Daily Music Business Podcast on your favorite podcast platform.
As hard as that may sometimes be.
Going back to what you said, and building each other up and, helping each other and supporting us. And I think you find that a lot in the metal community too, though, right?
Yeah, I think so too. Of course, there's extreme outgrowths, right. But I do think there are almost a different subgenre in that regard. But most people I know who listen to metal or who play metal, at the very least, try to understand each other, I feel.
Yeah,
Even
and the
if they're very
communities, I've been around the globe at shows and stuff, and the community's always accepting, and it doesn't matter like your religion,
Generally,
your race, it doesn't matter about any of that shit. You bond over the riff or the experience, and everything is secondary.
It's how it should be. I've known a police officer who worked at festivals and stuff, and he told me, like, the metal festivals are the easiest place to be as a police officer. Almost nothing happens. Like, of course, there's some fights here and there. People get drunk. That happens.
Right.
But he says when you go to a pop concert, it's a slaughter. A metal concert, not a problem generally. So
right, it's aggressive. You knock each other over in the pit, but at the end, you pick each other up and you keep moving along.
Exactly. Or when you notice that someone is getting smothered, you try to shield them a little bit and stuff like that. I think that's one of the greatest things about metal as a community, and I think that's something that should be embraced, but also projected towards the outside world.
Because the outside world has no idea. Like, they think we're a bunch of degenerates with long hair and tattoos.
Absolutely. In some regards, I sometimes also think that's something we brought upon ourselves, because when a lot of people post that kind of stuff for fun, right? The whole Satanism stuff and that kind of stuff. Of course, it's mostly just a joke to us, but to the outside world, you're just confirming their very limited view of what we are. I'm not saying we should change that, but there is a certain responsibility there as well, I think.
I could see that for sure. So are there plans to take this out on the road?
No, not at all. I'm very much a loner, and I made the album alone as well. And to me, the entire joy of music is the creation process, the playing my instruments right here in the studio, and trying to build that idea that you have in your head as accurately as possible. I don't really visit concerts all that much, so being on a stage is really the last place on earth where I want to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's next then? Are you going to do more singles or more records, or what's next?
Definitely more records. This was the final stage of the trilogy that I originally wanted to do, but that doesn't mean that I ever plan to quit after this one. That was just the original idea.
Right.
Now that that's out of the way, I definitely want to continue on a fourth album, preferably as soon as possible, because I always take a couple of years to create these things.
Right.
And the sooner I start, the more time I have for myself before I start getting nervous looking at the calendar.
Right.
It does start to bite at you after a couple of years, especially when the fans are very much expecting something new, and you start to get weekly emails asking you whether you died and stuff like that. And it's at some point you just want to go like, okay, guys, here's another one. So that's
right. So I mean, the music business has changed, right? So everybody's doing the single thing. Do you ever think about doing that, or are you going to still do the full record?
I must admit it's appealing to me, because quite frankly, making a single is a lot easier than making an album.
Right.
But I do think that specifically this project probably requires albums to truly say what it wants to say. So I probably keep with albums until they're like really not working anymore, but I don't really see that happening anytime soon. So
no, I think there's people like myself and yourself who are out there who really appreciate the full length and how you sequenced it and the emotions you convey through the sequencing of the record.
Yes, exactly. You can't do that. I mean, you can do that in a single song, but it will probably be either very long, and then you might as well make it an EP or an album, or it will be so rushed that it just feels like a mess.
Yeah. And the kids these days don't have the attention span, right? They want 30 seconds of something and they're ready to move on. So
that's something that I also struggle with. When I'm mixing records for other people and they ask me for advice, I sometimes also tell them, be aware that your first song has to start within 30 seconds, otherwise you'll lose people forever. I hate to give that advice,
but it's true, right?
Take your time, but it's true. You get 10, 20 seconds and then you're gone forever, and they will never come back to your band anymore. I hate it, but that's the way the world works right now, sadly. Yeah.
I mean, both my sons are, I don't know, 20s, early 20s, And they are the same way. They're like just, 20, 30 seconds. And
right?
if it doesn't grab me, I'm moving on to something else.
Yeah. It's just what happened. I think that's also one of the things that happened when media started building so fast. It's very saturating nowadays, and I actually struggle with social media for that exact reason. I'm very sensitive to that kind of stuff, and I really had to be convinced to even open up an Instagram account, because there's so much stuff going on the screen there that I get ill looking at it, and I have to filter and only look at what I have to do. And I can see how if you're not sensitive to that and you're looking at that all day, it does something to your brain. And
I 100% agree. It's the nature of the beast, right? For what I do here, I have to be posting this shit and doing all this crap, and I don't like it at all. Yeah. I wish I had the money to hire somebody to take care of all of that stuff, because I'm not a fan of it either. But it's the nature of it. If I want to keep people listening, I got to keep doing this stuff. So.
You got to go with the modern trends, or otherwise you'll get forgotten. And that's the name of the game, so to say.
Awesome. That's going to bring me to the end. Did I miss anything you wanted to cover?
No, I think that's great. So
I know we kind of went down a rabbit hole. Sorry if I strayed, but I just like to talk. So
not at all. I actually really enjoy when people try to get me to go down those rabbit holes, because that's what the band is about, right? And
right.
I think it's good.
Gloom.
This is Rafael Gonzalez doing a review for Brutally Delicious on the band called Ghoul with their new EP, Noxious Concoctions. Starting off, we have a really good classic horror set, basically almost like a witch cover type of set, and you end it off with a good funeral cover that has that final saying after it goes from slow down all the way thrash. It kind of has a depth to it, I would say, due to the vocals on it. And you have a really, really good riff. You have that slow tempo drum, the punk, and then going off with that thrash all the way mosh tempo with Noxious Concoctions, which is out. Hear it, really, really fucking amazing. Down to their last 1900 DTH line. That thrash at the end is just phenomenal. Has that mosh all the time. It's a really, really good album. You should really hear it. It's amazing. I loved it. I personally would say, would I buy this in vinyl? Probably would. I like to collect vinyls. Very amazing. The bass solo riff is just amazing. I am a bass player, so I do know what it feels like to be a part of a whole band, part of a song. In case has a little solo moment, it gives that little spotlight. But you have also the riffs being really, 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 really smart. You have the guitar riffs being in the back of the cover, covering it up for the bass, so the bass doesn't have to be alone with the drummer. It's amazing. I really liked how they did the bass solo. It's really good, really good. The tempo change is what really interested me, and the vocals have that horror feel, like you're part of it. Just very, very, very good. Very heavy, very fast, very thrashy. Even the slow punk tempo is very, very thrashy. The drums, the riff is very thrash all the way through. I suggest you give it a little good hear in case, it just grabbed my attention, the whole entire album. I really, really want it to come out. I hope it comes out. I'll probably get the first thing in vinyl. It just has that FKU sound. That if you don't know that band, it's fuck you. Has that they talk about horror, all of that. Ghoul has the exact same thing. Of course, they're both different bands, but they have that type of genre. It's very, very amazing. My personal one is the EP, that the single song that's out now, Noxious Concoctions, just because it's very, very thrashy. I like fast thrash. People who like fast thrash, I suggest you guys listen to that, and especially the 1900 DTH line. But if you guys like thrash in general, I suggest listen to it. Such a phenomenal. They never fail. They never disappoint. Just give it a good listen.
Hey, this is Aaron from No Simple Road. I'm inviting you to come hang out with Apple, Mel, and I as we talk with the musicians, artists, chefs, authors, and beyond from the world that turns us on. We're reaching into the improvisational music scene, the psychedelic culture, the festival world, and getting to know what makes the people tick that create those scenes. Come join us on the long, strange trip over at No Simple Road.